Hello, and welcome to another session of virtual gentle chair yoga with Keith Beasley. My name is Batu Blumenthal. I'm the branch supervisor of the Putterham location of the Public Library of Brookline. Virtual gentle chair yoga with Keith Beasley is sponsored by the Friends of the Brookline Public Library, who sponsor this program and programs like it. As always, participation in this online yoga program could result in injury. Not all exercises presented here are suitable for everyone. These exercises are not intended to substitute for proper medical care or advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any exercise program. The creators, teachers, and producers assume no responsibility for injuries from participation in this program. And with that, I give you Keith.
So it's a good thing in our yoga practice. One of the things we emphasize is our good breathing. And it's hard to breathe well if your nose is all stuffed up or if it's really runny from all the pollen. So not the greatest thing to have to talk about, but it is our reality for this time of year. So sitting up nice and tall. So go ahead and settle into your chair. And wiggle your bottom for a minute. So I'm thinking about actually try the hands like this and kind of shake or move your bottom. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see better so that you can feel the sitting bones moving. So it's almost like I'm moving one side of my body back and then the other side. So I can feel my sitting bones are underneath here. I feel them on the bottoms of my pelvis on the and touching the top of the chair. So I want to feel that they're even. That's why we're moving them around so we can really feel them and notice that they're even. And the same thing with the feet. So go ahead and lift the feet up just a little bit. Almost like you're walking, just barely picking the feet up, and find evenness in the feet. So I have evenness, my weight is balanced on the feet. The ankles are directly underneath my knees. And my sitting bones feel like they're anchored or grounded beneath me. So I have support underneath as I breathe in and extend the spine up. So on our inhalation, we're going to feel the lengthening in the spine. And we do that by lifting the heart and engaging the belly slightly for support, and then moving the shoulders back and then releasing the shoulders down. So we want to feel like the shoulders are moving down as the spine is extending up. So we have the feet pressing down, we feel the sitting bones pressing into the chair, and then we feel the spine lifting, especially as we breathe in. So our diaphragmatic breathing, if you'd like, you can bring your palms right to around the belly so that the thumbs are up around the lower ribs. So my lower ribs are right here. I rest my thumbs on the lower ribs and I spread my fingers wide. So I can really feel the belly lifting. This can also help to bring the shoulder blades in because I move my elbows back as I spread my fingers apart and lifting the heart. And there's a little bit of firmness here in the belly, just a little, to support the back. Even with the firmness, the belly is going in and out with the breath. So it's firm, but it's not so firm that the belly can't expand. So we have to find a balance there. And that might take a little bit of experimentation. And keep with that breath, that feeling of lifting. It's almost like filling a balloon with air. So our torso is this giant balloon. We fill it with air. The chest lifts, the shoulders move back. Even the chin might lift a little bit as we breathe in, just a little. And then as we exhale, we relax the shoulders down. We soften the face and eyes. Maybe the chin comes back, the belly goes back in. And once we get into this general position, Think about the movements in the body as micro movements. So we've talked about that before. Micro movement is the idea that we're engaging the muscles and there's very small movements. So when muscles contract, most of the time the movement is relatively small. Muscles are, they have the ability to shrink and to lengthen, but it's only a little bit. So we're staying with that idea of lifting, lightness when we breathe in. Feel the body, feel the torso a little bit lighter, feel the shoulders and the head lighter as you breathe in. And then as you exhale, feel more in the feet and the sitting bones and the buttocks, a heaviness or a grounding or a connection with the earth beneath you. So above, as we breathe in, there's a lightness, almost like we're floating up to the sky. You could even imagine the sky above you. And then as we exhale, feel the connection underneath you with the earth. So going back and forth with the inhale and the exhale. Or maybe up and down. Think up and down. Let's add a little movement to it now. So bring the palms together and then inhaling up, that same lightness. And then as we exhale, the hands float down like parachutes. So there's a softness, a lightness, but they're still going down. And then they come back together and we come back up again. And then a floating down. As the hands come down, feel that connection becoming more prominent with the earth beneath you. So we go from a lightness, and then we're slowly beginning to feel more of a connection with the earth, perhaps even pressing the feet down by isometrically contracting the quadriceps. And the heart is lifting as we inhale, the shoulder blades move together. So the shoulders are circling. Remember to adjust how big the circles are so that your shoulders feel okay here. So even small circles like this are okay. I mean, if it feels okay, you can make big ones. You can make really big. You can make as big as you want, as long as it feels like there's some stability in the shoulder and that there's no pain. So our entire practice, we're avoiding pain. In yoga, we talk about ahimsa. It's really kind of the first principle of our yoga practice. It's a Sanskrit word. It means nonviolence. And then let's bring the palms together and then pause right in the middle. Sit up nice and tall. Relax the shoulders, relax the elbows. Soften the palms so that the palms come together a little more easily. So that there's a broadening of this area right beneath the fingers. And let's go the other way. So we drop the hands. So now our parachutes are going down. And then we turn the palms up. And we inhale up. So find your rhythm here. The movement follows the breath. If you're feeling a little sluggish, you can breathe slightly faster, make the movements a little smaller. That lifts the energy up. If you're feeling a little the opposite, and you're not sluggish, maybe you have a little too much energy for whatever reason, try slowing the breath down a little and letting the palms circle around. So the breath helps us to regulate our nervous system or the energy in the body. Inhaling up. exhaling down. And then go ahead and bring the hands down. And let's bring the hands right onto the knees. So the fingers drape over the knees. And then we're going to do some seated cat and cows. So we'll inhale. So a seated cat and cow, the position is pretty much the same as before, but we use the arms as a guide to steady the shoulders and then to lift the heart forward and back, lifting the heart forward and back. So think about the movement coming between the shoulder blades, not the lower back. The lower back will move, and the chin and the neck may move. But think about, as you breathe in, lifting the sternum. So our sternum is right in the center of the chest. Think about lifting the sternum forward and using the arms. The fingers are draped down, almost like we're helping to pull the sternum forward and up slightly. And then as it goes back, the arms are going the opposite way and the shoulder blades move out to the sides. So there's a lifting that happens as we breathe in, lifting of the chest and the heart, and then a releasing back as we exhale. So we'd like to feel the shoulder blades moving forward and back. Feel the thoracic spine. That's the vertebra right between the shoulder blades. We feel that moving. We feel the heart moving forward and back. We feel the sitting bones moving slightly. They're rocking underneath us a little. So we feel them go towards the front. And then as we exhale and the heart goes back, that tips back towards the back. Almost like the sitting bones are the bottom of a rocking chair. And now let's go ahead and bring the hands right to the shoulders. And we're going to reach up and back and forth like this. So this is a place where if you had a block or tissues, we have our box of tissues. You could bring it between the thighs like this and hold it gently as you reach up. This engages those inner thighs a little more, helps to lift the inner arches up. And let's do it with the breath. So we're going to inhale on the way up and exhale on the way down. Inhaling up, exhaling down. If it's hard on your shoulders, try just lifting the elbow like this. See if that helps. You could also work, if you wanted, with both arms at the same time. So your choice here, single arm or working with both arms. If you have a lot of differences in the shoulders, in other words, one shoulder is more restricted, it's usually easier to work with the arms separately. If you want to do both arms and the shoulders need to be more even in their movement, or it doesn't feel quite right. We tend to be, you might be more like to the side. So your choice though. And you can add a little bit of movement to the side too, so that we begin to open up these ribs and the armpit underneath. Think about the feet pressing down. Think about the sitting bones. So as I lean to one side, if we keep the outside foot pressed down and the sitting bones glued down to the chair, it's a little more stable. So you'll feel things moving down. You'll start to engage some of the other muscles in the lower part of the abdomen in order to keep the buttocks down, because it wants to lift up. And you could do the same thing if you had both arms up. And exhaling. So remember, inhaling up exhaling down, inhaling up, a little bend, and exhaling down. One more time each side. Inhaling up. And then coming back down. And we're going to do a little turning like this, starting with the elbows. And actually, you could still work with your block if you wanted. And if you have something between the thighs here, you'll notice that this area is more stable and it doesn't turn as freely. And that's not necessarily better. It's different. And we're moving the elbows back. And then still, we're going to let the arms swing a little bit. Be mindful you don't whack your hands on the chair or anything around you. So if you need to, you could even keep the hands in like this. Now we're going to inhale and lengthen up. And then as we actually try that a few times. So we'll use the inhalation and the raising of the arms or the elbows up as a way to extend the spine. So try it inhaling up and exhaling down. You could even swing them a little bit. So we get our momentum from the arms helping to carry the whole spine up. And it's a little, the spine lifting up is a small movement. And we'd like it to be a nice and smooth, easy flowing movement. So try not to overdo. So this is one where the swinging's good, but we're not swinging hard. It's a nice, gentle, easy lift. And as the spine extends, then we're going to lower the arms slowly down and turn towards the side. So now I have one hand on the outside of that knee over here, and my other hand can be anywhere behind me. It can be back here on this part of the chair. It could hold the middle of the chair or even reach all the way onto the other side. And then I'm going to work here with the breath, sitting up tall. As I breathe in, I extend the spine, and then exhaling, I soften and relax and release and let go. So I'm not really turning anymore actively. This ends up being a passive twist. Inhaling, using the breath to extend the spine, and then exhaling, just softening, releasing, letting go, especially the shoulders and the face and the eyes. And then one more time, we're going to breathe in. And then this time we're going to release the hands and let them come back to the front. When we do a passive anything, we want to make sure that we focus on inhaling and extending the spine up. So there's a lifting, and then the other part is just releasing, letting go. And that's requires a bit of concentration to release. So let's swing the arms again, swinging the arms up to get that length, that lightness in the spine. And then one more time, we'll reach up on the inhalation, and then exhaling, the hands float down as we turn to the other side. And then the hands are on the outside of the knee. So now we're opposite, and then you can bring the hand wherever it's comfortable behind you. And we start with just lifting the spine as we breathe in, and then relaxing, exhaling, softening, letting go. So there's a lightness that comes when we extend the spine, when we breathe in, and a softening as we release and relax and let go, softening the face and eyes, the shoulders, the arms, even the ribs and the belly. And then inhaling And then as you exhale, turning back to the front. And sitting up nice and tall. Maybe giving a sigh of relief. And some cactus breath. So inhaling. Then you can add a little hug to it. Big opening and then a little hug. And inhaling and a little hug. So do that a few times. So we'll go back and forth. Remember to change the cross of the arm. So one arm is on top and then the other arm is on top. And you'll notice when you do that, that one hand ends up being further down and one hand ends up being more closer to the top of the shoulder. So we alternate that and we're swinging, just like we were swinging the arms before with this up and down. Think about the swinging with the arms out to the side. This broadening, this inhalation, this opening, and then exhaling, a little more grounded, a little more firmness as we exhale. So we're giving ourselves a little hug. We're all wrapped up. And then go ahead and bring the arms down. Let's slide forward in the chair. We're going to work on the belly a little bit here with some circling, stirring the belly around. So we stir the belly around by stirring the shoulders around. Remember to keep looking out ahead. Don't look down. We want to keep the torso lengthened here. So even as I come forward, notice that I'm not rounding. The shoulders are not sagging like this. I'm coming forward and my heart is still a little lifted, and that keeps my back straighter. It's still got the natural curves in it, and it might bend a little bit, but we don't want to overbend it. We want to keep space between the vertebrae, and that comes from keeping the spine lengthened. So I'm circling, and to make it more challenging, you can release the hands, circle in front like this. And the more you move the hands out to the sides, the more challenging it becomes. Make sure that you can keep the spine lifted here. There's no pain in the back. There's no pain in the neck. I'm not dropping the head back. So when I go back, I lean back. It looks kind of like this. If I was to stop in position, I would look like this. But I'm circling. So that position just is maintained for a moment. And you're going to feel it in the belly, almost like a sit-up. As I circle around. There's nothing wrong with having the hands on the knees here. You could even bend the elbows so that it becomes part of the movement. And let's go the other way. Feels very graceful to me with the hands on the knees, bending the elbows, straightening. So I make the arm movements a part of the circling, an integral part. So as I'm coming forward, the arms are bending, or one is bending, and then it goes to the other side. And the same thing with the sides. Notice how the arm bends when I go to the side and the other one straightens. Almost like a little dance is going on with the arms. And of course, if you want to make it really more challenging, you could circle the hands and you could lean out more to the back and to the sides and to the front. Just make sure that you can still keep the spine lifted. And if you're uncertain if you can keep the spine lifted, maybe make the movements a little smaller. So we want to be able to feel like things are lifting up. And let's all come back. Bring the hands back to the knees. And now as you circle around, see if you can feel the sitting bones underneath you. Feel the sitting bones. So we're going to sit up tall, and I'm going to feel for the sitting bones moving underneath my pelvis. So see if you can feel the sitting bones. Perhaps you can even feel the weight moving into the feet, the balls of the feet, back to the heels, back to the other heel, then to the other ball of the foot, both balls of the feet, as if there was almost like a circle underneath us. And let's go the other way. If it helps, try closing the eyes here. And then you can really work on feeling so you're not distracted. And let's go ahead and lean to the side now and begin to lift the feet up. So this is for the hip flexors, the abdomen, and a little bit of balance too. So if we begin to slow down, we can lift up and stay balanced for a moment. It can be challenging to maintain our balance even in a sitting position like this. So this side is lifted up. It's not in the chair anymore. It's just all this. This is the only side. And just so the support is from the foot and the sitting bone on this side, the buttock. And if you pause like this and you take a couple of breaths, it can be quite challenging for the core muscles here to keep us lifted. If you're collapsing, then make sure you go back the other way. So if you're going to pause and stop, you need to keep lifted. When you start to collapse, that's the signal that you're too much. It's too much. So we need to be regularly paying attention to how we're feeling and whether or not we have that lift in the body. And if you want to make it still more challenging, of course, you can bring the feet up higher. The higher you bring them, the more challenging it is. Make sure you can still keep the heart lifted. So don't round like this to lift the leg up. So we just have to be patient. We have to build strength, and that takes a while. It takes a number of weeks. It might even take months to build strength. But if you practice regularly, it does come. It just takes patience. And then come back down and sit up nice and tall. And exhale. Let's do a tree pose. So tree is a really nice pose for balance and also for grounding, for connecting with the earth. Just like trees, the roots go down into the earth. When we do our tree pose, we want to feel that connection with one leg. It's rooting down into the earth, and the other leg has some lightness to it. So we start out with our sitting up tall. We'll do it twice. I'll show it first seated. You're welcome to do it standing if you know how to do it standing and you prefer that. And then the second time I'll show it standing. And then you're welcome to continue to do it seated or to do it standing. So it's really your practice, your choice. Sitting up tall and then stepping the foot out. Let's bring that back. Let's try that again. So as I step the foot out, I want to keep the torso facing straight ahead. Or if it turns like this, turn it back after the foot goes out. And try that one more time. Stepping out. And now more weight is on this side. So I don't want to lean to this side, but I want to feel grounded on this side. So this side is a little lighter. And then I can bring that foot to the inside of the chair leg. If you're standing, you'll bring it to the inside of the calf right here. And then I can add my arms. Actually, first let's do this. Let's inhale and extend the arms up. So we did this before. Swing the arms and feel some lightness. So get some length. Maybe even give a little sigh on the way down. Try it a couple more times with the breath. And then the next time you come up, you can stay in the position and extending up. You have places that you could rest the hands in front of the heart, out to the sides, over the head, whatever's most comfortable. You could even, if you needed support, you wanted extra support so that you could stay lifted, you could bring the hands to the edges of the chair and gently pressing the fingers in to help lift the heart up. So it's a small lift to help with the extension of the spine. So whichever one you want, whichever one you prefer to do today. Every day is a little different. The nice thing about doing this seated is you could potentially close your eyes. And then you can really concentrate on feeling that front foot pressing into the floor to provide the support, and feeling the lengthening of the spine and the breath moving the belly, the breath opening the ribs. And of course, you can always come down whenever you want. And we'll all come back down now and walk the foot back. So come back to mountain pose first. Feel balanced. Get your balance back so that you feel nice and even. Nice and even. And this goes whether or not you're seated or standing. We come back to a neutral position as if we didn't just do tree pose on the other side. We're back in our neutral position, starting again, and then stepping the foot out and then bring it back. Remember, we're keeping the torso facing towards the front. And we also want the front toes. We don't want to turn the leg in or turn it out. We'd like the toes pointed straight ahead so that the knee is directly over the ankle. Toes are pointed in the same direction as the knee. And there's an opening here in the groin area, and the toes are pointed more or less out to the side. And then inhaling, and let's swing the arms. So we're going to get a little length here. Inhaling and exhaling, and inhaling and exhaling. A couple more times. And when you're ready, you can move into your, we got to do the foot like this. And bring the sole of the foot on the inside of the chair leg or on the inside of the calf as you're standing. And inhaling, using that lifting, the inhalation to help extend the spine, to get lightness. So we want to feel like a tree that's growing up. And then you can add the arms, however you like. So that front foot is gently pressing into the floor. So we have a little contraction in the quadricep here for support. So everything is supporting us so that the spine is extending up, and there's lifting and lightness and even brightness. Think of brightness in the body, like a light. And that light is helping to lift us up. The face and eyes are soft. So there's a lot that's lifting us. And then the other places in the body, the shoulders are relaxed, the face and eyes are soft, the jaw, the tongue, and the throat are soft. So the places that we don't need to effort, we release them, we let go of them. And then whenever you're ready, you can come back down. Let's come back down with control, though. Try not to collapse. So even when I relax down, I'm not collapsing like this. I'm relaxing a little bit, and naturally the body isn't as extended. We want to keep the body in a ready sort of state. Let's do tree pose I'll show it standing now. So you can repeat it seated if you prefer, or I'll show it standing. And it's nice if you are going to do it standing, it's very handy to have a chair. And it's also, for many people, it's easier. Balance might be easier with shoes on because your feet will have more support. But I'm going to remove my shoes just so you can see my feet a little better. And I'm going to wiggle my toes here. Actually, I'm going to take the socks off too. So see if you can wiggle and spread your toes. That's a nice thing to do for your feet if you have your shoes off. So I lift my toes up and I spread them apart. And then I stand up nice and tall. And I'm going to give a little bend here. So we're going to start with what we would call mountain pose. And so instead of, excuse me, in mountain pose, we bend the knees ever so slightly, and then we straighten them to move the thighs back. We're contracting these quadriceps here. So we want to feel, you could even put your fingers on them, your fingertips on them like this. And as I move my thighs back, notice if these firm up, the muscles on the fronts of the legs. That's what we want. And we also want that firmness in the buttocks back here. You can tap on those as well, and a firmness in the belly. And that's going to give us our support to extend the spine up, move the shoulders back, so the heart lifts, and the firmness in the belly keeps the belly from sticking out. And I relax the shoulders down, keeping the eyes and face soft. You can smile is nice too. See if you can smile, even with all these things that we're doing. We feel the soles of the feet pressing down. The inner arches are lifting as the thighs move back. The buttocks squeeze together slightly. The belly moves in. The heart lifts. Shoulders move back. And then we release the shoulders down. Face and eyes are soft. Just remember to breathe. So mountain pose is an important pose because it teaches us the mobilization of the core muscles, and that supports the back and makes it possible for us to extend the spine. And let's go ahead and let's do our tree pose. So come back, relax for a minute, and shake out for a sec. Shake out like this. And then come back just for a moment in mountain pose. Not too much effort though in mountain pose, not as much as before, but standing up nice and tall and then stepping that foot out to the side. So it's just that same idea of torso is facing forward and we're stepping out. You can always touch the chair for support. And then go ahead and bring the sole of the foot on the inside of the calf, or if you're seated on the chair leg. And the foot is pressing down, the legs extending up, the torso is extending up. You can add the arms, lifting an upness. Find some upness in the spine, especially as you breathe in. And perhaps a drishti point, a point of concentration. Focus the eyes there. So some people might like to look up slightly. Some people prefer to look down slightly, but we try to look out across the room. You could even look straight across the room if you want. That would be okay too. It's really kind of finding a spot that seems to provide that stability. Looking up reminds me of the upness in the body, as to upness like a tree growing up. And you can come down whenever you want with control. So we come back, let's swing the arms for a moment. If you're standing, remember the knees are soft here. The weight is shifting back and forth. And let's do the other side. So standing up nice and tall, come back to our mountain pose, lifting the heart, extending the spine, stepping the other foot out. Try that a couple of times. Torso remains facing the front. And then bringing the sole of the foot on the inside of the calf. Find that drishti point. Add your arms. Add your arms however you like them. And then concentrate, extending the spine, feeling the breath coming in and out. Keeping the eyes relaxed. So even though the eyes are focused on something, see if you can relax them and relax the face. There's a lot of muscles all around the eyes. And the face, relaxing the face helps relax the eyes. And breathe. Perhaps you feel a little bit taller, a little lightness when you breathe in. And as you exhale, there's a little more grounding in the feet. And then whenever you're ready, you can begin to bring the hands down with control. Let's swing the arms. So we're going to work a little bit with chair pose. So chair pose is a good way to build strength and stability in the body. And I'm going to show it seated first. And I'm going to use 2 chairs just because it's easier. I don't have to walk around. Ideally, if you had 2 chairs, you could have one behind you and one in the front. So we'll show it seated first. So it's sitting down, and with chair pose, you can make a couple of adjustments. If it's hard to come forward and begin to stand like this out of the chair, you can sit on something. And that makes it easier to get up. So the more height I have here, the easier it's going to be to stand up. And I'm going to start out by having the hands on the knees, starting to lean forward, and then I'm going to come back. As I come forward, I'm bending down here at the hips. So notice that as I'm forward, my back is still relatively straight. I'm not rounding like this. We're not rounding. We're sitting up tall and bending as if we're offering our heart forward. As if we're offering our heart. You could also move the feet a little further out, provides more stability, and also a little wider apart for the knees. It will give you more stability. So we want to be stable. We want to feel stable. We want to have confidence that as we begin to lean forward, we're not going to fall out of the chair, and we're not going to fall to the left or to the right. The same as if you were at a table and you were going to stand up, but we're not going to use a table because, well, we don't have a table. But the chair here is handy because we could use the chair in front of us. But I'm going to start with my knees. So I lean forward and I start to lift up with my hand on my knees. So I get a little stability from my hands pressing down into the knees. And then I come back up. Try to do it slowly. So as I come forward and I begin to lift off, it's a slow lift and then a soft landing. So I come forward and I start to lift, and you're going to feel it in the thighs and the buttocks. I'm going to press my feet down as I lift. So it's important to engage these muscles as we press the feet down. We don't want any pain in the knees. So if you get pain in the knees from this, use something underneath the buttocks so that you don't have to lift so much, like the blanket from before. So we're lifting up like this. If you want to make it more challenging, you don't have to use the hands on the knees. You could just lift up and come back down. Nice soft landing. You could also have, if you had a table in front of you, you could put the chair in front of the table and put the fingers like this. And that helps with stability, especially. I'm not so much using it to push down on, but when I'm more stable, it's easier to concentrate. I can marshal my strength a little better when I don't have to worry so much about balance, or my body is not struggling with balance. And if you wanted to, you could even stand all the way up and then go all the way back down. So as you go up and down, think about turning the buttocks on here and the thighs and the belly, those three areas we were working on with mountain pose. So I'm having my buttocks firmed up as much during the movement as I can. And this is our chair pose. If this is really easy, you could work with chair pose without the chairs. So just going up and down like this. So let's do it. Let's do it from a standing position. So the easiest way to do it, the most basic way would be to go up and down from the chair like we just did. The second way would be to stand up as if we were in mountain pose, and we begin to bend our knees like we did in mountain pose, and we begin to sit back towards the heels. And I have my hands on the chair, or I have my fingers, and that's going to help me with balance. And I'm going to go up and down. I'm keeping the buttocks turned on, so there's a little squeeze together. My feet are pressing down into the floor, so my quadriceps are working, and the belly is firm, it's moving in. And I go up and down like this. And then I work with small movements in the beginning. And then as you develop strength over time, over the weeks or days anyway, but probably weeks, you could go further down. You'll notice that we don't want any pain in the knees. If you get any pain in the knees, you're going too far. And if this is the next step, or if that's really easy, the next step is to work without the chair and to work even further down, potentially going all the way down to the opposite chair, to the sitting down in the chair, and then coming back up. Notice that my hands are even and I'm balanced on the left and the right side. So I try not to lean, because I want to work both sides of the body. I want to feel balanced. I want to work on my balance. You can always rest too. The nice thing about having a chair behind you is if you have a chair here and you get tired, you just sit down and you can rest. Take a breath and exhale. So that's chair pose. So we should be warmed up enough. Let's go ahead and rock the feet. I'm going to rock the feet forward and back. So as you rock the feet, feel the muscles on the calf And feel the muscles along the shin alternately contracting. And depending on how high you lift the heels and how slowly you lift the heels, you'll feel the muscles working a little bit more. The calf muscle stays on longer if I'm going slower up. And then these front muscles along the shin stay on longer if I'm holding the balls of the feet up. Try to avoid cramping though. Sometimes if we do things too slowly, especially in the feet, down in the lower area, the area cramps. Now let's do some leg lifting. Lifting up and then alternating back and forth. And then adding the arms if you want. Perhaps one arm and one leg to begin. You could even do the sides if you wanted. Out to the side. Makes it a little bit different. But see if you can find that connection between the hand and the foot, even out to the side. So so when we did it to the front, sometimes we'd imagine there's a string attached, pulling it up, pulling the foot up with the hand. So when you do it to the side, imagine there's a pulley right in front. There's a pulley in front. And the string is going from the hand over the pulley and down to the foot. And if you wanted to, you could do both arms. Almost like a bird flapping its wings. And you could even do both legs and both arms, if that's okay, if that works for you. And of course, you can always go back to the other way. You can always do it this way if you prefer. But sometimes it's fun to do something a little slightly different. So this is really similar, but it's a little different. And it requires our focus changes. When we learn something new, it requires us to kind of rearrange our thinking. And sitting up nice and tall, we're going to go ahead and we're going to cross the ankle over the knee like this. So your other choice would be to cross the ankle over the ankle. So depending on how your hip feels, being mindful that if you've had any work done on your hip, we don't want to overdo the hip joint. So follow whatever instructions you got when you had your hip worked on. And sitting up nice and tall, you can hold on to the shin to help lift up. And you get a little bit of a stretch. You get a little bit of a stretch feeling in the buttocks back here. So some people call this like a figure 4 shape. And I'm lifting the spine up and breathing. No pain in the knee though. So we don't want to create pain in the knee. If you're getting pain in the knee, bring the foot down, bring the ankle down like this. And you can still sit up nice and tall. And then we'll go back and we'll do the other side. So either crossing at the ankle like this, crossing the ankle over the knee like this, and holding on to the shin and sitting up tall, taking some breaths here. So we're going to do this one more time. If you were doing it with the ankle on the knee, I'll turn sideways so you can see. We'll cross the ankle on the knee, and we're lifting up, and then we're going to start to fold forward slightly. And we only fold forward until we start to feel the back rounding. So when we start to do this, we don't go any further. We're going to just lift up and slowly come forward. And then come back up. Let's do it with movement here. So what that means is that we will inhale and we'll exhale. It's as if the heart is coming down towards the leg rather than, or the belly. So the movement, the bending comes down here at the top of the thigh where my hand is, right in front of the hip. And then I'm going to inhale back up. So it's almost like I'm bowing. Think about if you were to stand up and bow. So if I was bowing, it would look kind of like this. If we do a formal bow, a greeting to someone. So it's the same idea here, except with the knee, with the ankle crossed. Then we're going to inhale up and exhale. So you can do the same thing with the ankles crossed like this. And we have the hands to provide support. And let's do the other side. So now we cross the other ankle over. We sit up tall, and then we begin to fold forward as we exhale. And we inhale, come back up. And exhale, fold forward. So we don't want any pain in the knees or in the lower back. And we're not forcing the bending. We're allowing the bending to happen in the waist and then coming back up. So this is this movement with the pose is a good way to practice, especially if we're doing something relatively new. If you haven't done this before, is the dynamically. We call this a dynamic pose because there's movement at the same time. So we're inhaling and then we exhale as we come forward, and then inhale back up and uncross and come back to the front. Take a couple of breaths, do some cactus breaths, inhaling, exhaling. So we'll go back and forth. And you can give yourself a little hug. And then bring the palms together and inhale and a little sun breath up a couple of times, maybe 3 times. Think about lengthening the spine here, opening the heart, relaxing the shoulders. And then we'll settle back into our back of the chair, our Shavasana. Resting the hands comfortably, wherever they're most comfortable. Could be the knees, could be the arms of the chair, could be in the lap. Keeping the shoulders relaxed. Be in a position where the back is supported. Noticing the breath. Perhaps allowing the eyes to close if they're not already. Feeling the belly moving with the breath. Observe. Relaxing the shoulders and the arms and the hands and the fingers. Softening the face and eyes. Relaxing the jaw, the tongue, and the throat. Softening the hips and buttocks. Relaxing the legs, the feet and toes. Thank you very much for practicing today. If you have a few minutes, hang out in Shavasana a little bit longer, just for a few minutes. And see everyone next week. Namaste.